You're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I am Anil Thomas. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. External Affairs Ministry says India-Maldives seek mutually workable solution for continued operation of Indian aviation platforms providing humanitarian and medvac services. Indian Navy rescues a crew of US-owned vessel in the Gulf of Aden after an attack by Houthis. Tensions in the region's sea lanes disrupt global trade. US, Japan and South Korean envoys meet amid North Korean nuclear threat. Pyongyang and Kremlin deepen defense ties. India and Maldives held talks over a mutually workable solution to ensure the continued operation of Indian aviation platforms providing humanitarian services. India's External Affairs Ministry said during the core group meeting, both nations deliberated on several aspects of the bilateral relations.
Regarding Maldives, Siddhant, you would have seen that on 14th we had a meeting of the core group. In the core group, we had detailed discussions on several aspects of the bilateral relationship. We also made available what was discussed in the meeting through a press release. And then in that press release, we mentioned that both sides held discussions on finding mutually workable solution to enable continued operation of Indian aviation platforms that provide humanitarian and medvac services to the people of Maldives. The next meeting is to be held in India to take discussion forward. Regarding your projects in Maldives, obviously the core group meeting happened on 14th. On our part, we remain committed to our projects to take them forward. We have been an important development partner of Maldives. We remain committed to doing all things that we can do as a development partner of Maldives in keeping with their priorities.
Border dispute between India and China continues to impact the relations between the two nations on different fronts like trade and economic. Spokesperson for the Ministry of External Affairs, Ranveer Jaiswal, said the relations are not normal between the two countries. Talks were held in October and November last year. Here's what he said.
Our External Affairs Minister has made it clear that the relations are not normal. Presently we are engaged both diplomatically and militarily. We have talks at the military to military level and diplomatic at the diplomatic level. In the months of October and November last year, we had these talks to take things forward. We'll have the next round of military and diplomatic talks later, as and when both sides agree to convene them. So that is where we are.
Well, as tensions flare up in the Red Sea, attacks on commercial vehicles by Houthi rebels has become a major cause of concern globally. Speaking on the ongoing conflict, MEA spokesperson Ranveer Jaiswal said India is watching the situation closely and Indian Navy patrolling the area is ensuring the protection of its shipping vessels in the Gulf of Aden.
In regard to what's happening in the Red Sea area, we have made our position very clear. It's a matter of concern to us. We give a lot of importance to freedom of navigation and freedom of commerce in that region. Whatever is happening there not just impacts us, but impacts the economic interests and several other interests of so many people across the world. So that is where we are. We are closely monitoring the situation and we're looking at the unfolding situation with a constant watch.
Well, as MEA spokesperson said, Indian vessel came to the rescue of an American ship on receiving a distress call. INS Vishakhapatnam swiftly responded to the distress call made by US Marshall Island flagged MV Genco Picardy following a drone attack on the 17th of January. MV Genco Picardy, with 22 crew members, including 9 Indians, has reported no casualties. Indian Naval EOD specialists from INS Vishakhapatnam boarded the vessel in early hours on the 18th of Jan and inspected the damaged area. EOD specialists, after a thorough inspection, have rendered the area safe for further transit. The vessel is proceeding to the next port of call. INS Vishakhapatnam was deployed in the Gulf of Aden for anti-piracy operations. Not paying heed to Iran's threat of serious repercussions, the US carried out the 4th round of strikes against Houthi targets in Yemen in just under a week. Pentagon believes the strikes have degraded the Houthis' ability to attack. A detailed report.
The United States has conducted strikes on 14 Houthi missiles that were loaded to be fired from Yemen. US Central Command said in a statement posted on the social media platform X that the Houthi missiles presented an imminent threat to merchant vessels and US Navy ships in the region. The United States redesignation of the Houthis as global terrorists is in response to the group's attacks on commercial ships in the region. US officials said the specially designated global terrorist listing was aimed at cutting off funding and weapons the Houthis have used to attack or hijack ships.
The Secretary of State announced the designation of the Houthis as a specially designated global terrorist, effective February 16th for threatening the security of the United States. Since November, the Houthis have launched numerous missiles and drones towards international merchant ships, as well as U.S. and partner naval vessels defending the safety and security of commercial shipping across the Red Sea. These attacks against international shipping have endangered mariners and disrupted the free flow of commerce and freedom of navigation. For the past several weeks, the United States, with allies and partners around the world, has made clear that there must be consequences for those attacks. And today's designation follows on our military action last week to hold the Houthis accountable for their actions.
A Houthi official on Wednesday called US designation of Yemen's Houthis as a terrorist group is a blackmail and will not affect their operations to prevent Israeli ships or ships heading to Israel from crossing the Red Sea.
This designation of Ansar Allah in the terrorism list has been repeated more than once, and it's an act of blackmail. Of course, the United States uses its designation as blackmail against anyone who opposes its policies and stands in opposition, including its support for war on Gaza.
Attending the World Economic Forum in Davos, Iran Foreign Minister Hossein Amir-Abdollahian said that the safety of the Red Sea today is tied to the situation in Gaza.
The security of shipping and maritime navigation is a serious focus of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Yemen also believes so on this matter. But the safety of the Red Sea today is tied to the situation in Gaza.
At the World Economic Forum, British Foreign Secretary David Cameron met Iranian Foreign Minister Hossein Amir-Abdollahian. Cameroon condemned the attacks in Erbil in Iraq, which killed UK-Iraqi dual national Karam Mikhail, and also made it clear that the Houthi attacks on shipping in the Red Sea are illegal and unacceptable. Attacks by the Iran-allied Houthi militia on ships in the region since November have slowed trade between Asia and Europe.
Well, moving on, British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak said he was prepared to ignore orders from the European Court of Human Rights, which imposed a temporary emergency injunction on deportation of asylum seekers to Rwanda. Sunak has succeeded in getting Rwanda bill through the House of Commons after a failed rebellion by right-wingers in his Conservative Party. The bill aims to prevent legal challenges against ministers' plans to deport asylum seekers to Rwanda. Now the bill must pass through the House of Lords.
You're asking me, are there circumstances in which I will ignore Rule 39s? And the answer is clearly yes. It is important that we fix this problem. We believe that we have done absolutely everything right. Now, of course, there will always be individual circumstances where people rightly would expect us to examine the facts, but are there circumstances in which I'm prepared to move ahead in the face of Rule 39? The answer is clearly yes. That's why the House of Lords must pass this bill. It's time to take back control of our borders and defeat the people smugglers. It's time to restore people's trust that the system is fair. We are making progress to stop the boats, but now it's past time to start the flights.
United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres said that the phase out of fossil fuels was essential to avoid a global climate catastrophe. Nearly 200 countries agreed at the COP28 climate summit last month to begin reducing global consumption of fossil fuels to avert the worst of climate change. The deal struck after 2 weeks of negotiations by sending message to investors and policymakers that the world must part with fossil fuels.
Change that. Let's hope it doesn't come too late. No amount of spin or scare tactics will change that. Let's hope it doesn't come too late. But we must now act to ensure a just and equitable transition to renewable energy.
Speaking at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Israeli President Isaac Herzog acknowledged the human tragedy in Gaza, but underscored Israel's commitment to self-defense against terrorism. Herzog rejected all accusations leveled against Israel and raised an alarm about the international community falling short in sending the full quota of 400 humanitarian trucks to Gaza every day. He also stated that his country was praying for an emergency shipment of medicines arranged by Qatar and France to reach Israeli hostages held by Hamas in the besieged Palestinian enclave. A shipment of medical supplies meant for Israeli hostages in Gaza and civilians reached Gaza on Wednesday as part of a deal brokered by Qatar and France. Earlier, 2 Qatari planes arrived in the north of Egypt's Sinai Peninsula, where supplies were unloaded and transferred to the Rafah border, crossing with Gaza. One of the planes was carrying medical packages for the hostages captured by Hamas on October 7th. Under the agreement thrashed out on Tuesday, medicines along with humanitarian aid are to be supplied to civilians in Gaza in exchange for delivering drugs needed by hostages held there. Israel has meanwhile increased attacks on Hamas terrorists in southern Gaza's Khan Yunis. Israeli military spokesperson Daniel Hagari, in a televised statement, said Israeli forces have killed more than 30 terrorists in Khan Yunis over the past 24 hours. He added that the forces have expanded their operations towards a Hamas regiment in the area.
The division active in the Khan Yunis area is operating with the largest forces. It has expanded its attack. It was in the east of Khan Yunis. It has expanded its attack to another Hamas regiment, which is in southern Khan Yunis, and is now carrying out an attack there. Over the past 24 hours, there were tough battles there. Sadly, there were also casualties. Our forces have killed more than 30 militants in the past 24 hours in the area.
Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said he will be speaking on West Asia peace efforts in his upcoming address at the United Nations Security Council.
Without the creation of Palestinian state, reliable security for Israel cannot be ensured, and Russia is very interested in ensuring that Israelis lived in safety. This is our long-standing partner. Our country was the first to recognize the independence of Israel. There are now about 2 million citizens who are simultaneously citizens of Russia and originate from Russia.
Ukraine's ambassador to Turkey has said that certain negotiations were underway regarding a UN-brokered grain export initiative which was shut down in the summer of 2023. A Black Sea deal was brokered by the UN and Turkey in July of 2022 to combat a global food crisis worsened by Russia's Feb 2022 invasion of Ukraine. The two countries are among the world's top grain exporters. In July 2023, Russia halted its participation in the deal, stating that the terms of its participation in the agreement were not being met. Ukraine, meanwhile, launched its own shipping corridor, hugging its western Black Sea coast near Romania and Bulgaria last August after Moscow withdrew from the UN-brokered deal. A quick look at other stories from around the world. A 34-year-old Croatian artist, Tomislav Horvat, from the northern village of Domasinek, is just a year and a half away from completing his version of Michelangelo's giant sculpture of David. He began by making such smaller models, but in 2013 made his first life-size sculpture of actor Al Pacino. He uses a supporting structure of papier-mâché or wood as a base for the matchstick sculptures. The Armenian Archbishop of Sevan Garibian of Jerusalem arrived on Thursday at the West Bank city of Bethlehem in Palestine to mark Christmas. According to the Eastern calendar, by leading midnight mass at the Church of the Nativity, some Armenian churches celebrate Christmas on Jan 19th, unlike the widely observed date of December 25th. Christmas Mass is going to be held on Friday to kick off Christmas Eve celebrations. Still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra reaches more than 15 crore people in just 60 days. Blue Tigers India look to bounce back as they face Uzbekistan for the 7th time in the AFC Asia Cup.
We just don't bring you the news as it unfolds. We get to the heart of the matter.
We don't just present facts. We demystify complex social, political and economic events.
We break stories that shape the world's present and future because you deserve the truth.
I am Tanvi Taneja from New Delhi.
I'm Ollie Barrett from London.
I'm Nick Harper from Washington, D.C.
Join us on DD India Global Monday to Friday at these times.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Anil Thomas. Top nuclear envoys from the United States, Japan and South Korea on Thursday held a trilateral meeting in Seoul and criticized North Korea's military cooperation with Russia. In an opening statement, Jung Park, a U.S. senior official for North Korea, said that Pyongyang's transfer of short-range ballistic missiles and other weapons to Russia for use against Ukraine demand attention and coordinated action. The three countries have increased joint efforts to deter North Korea in recent years, including trilateral meetings and launching a missile warning data sharing system in December. Earlier, nuclear envoys from the US and South Korea met on Thursdays to discuss North Korea amid mounting tensions on the Korean Peninsula. Pakistan, meanwhile, said it used killer drones and rockets to strike separatist Baluch militants inside Iran on Thursday in a retaliatory strike 2 days after Tehran said it attacked the bases of another group within Pakistan territory. Iranian media said several missiles hit a village in the Sistan-Baluchistan province that borders Pakistan, killing at least 9 people, which include 4 children. The neighbors have had rocky ties in the past, but the strikes are the highest profile cross-border intrusions in recent years and come amid growing worries about instability in the Middle East since the conflict between Israel and Hamas erupted on October 7th. A senior Pakistan security official said that the military was on extremely high alert and would meet any misadventure from the Iranian side forcefully. Tehran, meanwhile, strongly condemned the strikes, saying civilians were killed and summoned Pakistan's charge d'affaires, its most senior diplomat in Iran, to give an explanation. Back home, the Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra is being undertaken across India with the aim to inform people about the government's welfare measures by ensuring that their benefits reach the targeted beneficiaries in a time-bound manner. The Yatra reached the Ramban district in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir in the Union Territory in the northern part of India. Stalls were set up by various departments for awareness about the schemes to the general public. People in Ramban also watched the speeches of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. On the occasion, a Viksit Bharat Sankalp pledge was also taken and all beneficiaries shared their progressive stories. Now we get you some buzz that's being generated in the build-up to the consecration ceremony of Ram Temple at India's holy city of Ayodhya on the 22nd of Jan. The wooden replicas of Ayodhya's Ram Temple are fetching eyeballs and are the newest attraction in shops across North Indian city of Ayodhya as the city gears up for the highly anticipated consecration of the shrine on the 22nd of January. Ahead of the consecration ceremony at the Ram Temple in Ayodhya, the demand for saffron flags bearing images of Lord Ram, Lord Hanuman and the upcoming Grand Temple has risen many-fold. City markets are teeming with hawkers selling saffron flags, cutouts of Lord Ram, badges and scarves with image of the deity and model of the Ram Temple in Ayodhya. In anticipation of the eminent grand consecration ceremony of Lord Ram Temple in the Indian city of Ayodhya, the city's walls are adorned with magnificent mural paintings illustrating the narrative of the Hindu epic Ramayana and the tales associated with Lord Ram. The embellished walls contribute to the heightened spiritual ambience leading up to the significant event on the 22nd of January. And in sports, India and Uzbekistan face off in the second Group B clash of the AFC Asian Cup 2023. The two teams clashed for the first time in 1987 Nehru Gold Cup, which finished in a 2-2 draw. Since then, both teams have faced each other on 6 occasions, with the last meeting coming in the 2001 Merdeka Cup. Uzbekistan has an upper edge in the head-to-head clashes. Of the 6 matches, Uzbek have won 4, while 2 matches have ended in a draw. In the opening match, Australia beat India 2-0, while Uzbekistan was in poor form against a resolute Syria. The match ended in a 0-0 draw. Indian women's hockey team will take on Germany in the semi-final of the FIH Hockey Olympic qualifiers match today. India aims to keep the winning streak going after a splendid 5-1 win against Italy in Ranchi. Udita, Deepika, Salima Tete and Navneet scored for India, while for Italy, Camilla Machins saved the blushes by scoring the lone goal. Udita was the player of the match for her brilliant effort. Sixth edition of the Khelo India Youth Games is all set to witness a glittering opening ceremony in the southern city of Chennai in India. The event will be inaugurated by Prime Minister. Here's a detailed report that tells you all about the 6th edition of Khelo India Youth Games.
Chennai is all set to welcome Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who would inaugurate the 6th edition of Khelo India Youth Games on Friday. Khelo India Youth Games, which is taking place in South India for the very first time, will witness the participation of around 5,600 athletes from all across India, who would showcase their skills to bag the top honours. The multi-sport event, which would be in action for 13 days, would be spread across 15 venues of southern India. The event would also showcase a demo sport alongside 26 sporting disciplines. The landmark sporting event would be a mix of conventional sports such as football, volleyball, badminton, etc. and traditional sports such as Kalaripayattu, Gatka, Thang Ta, Kabaddi and Yogasana. Silambam would be included as a demo sport. The event also highlights women empowerment as its mascot. Veera Mangai, who was an Indian queen who waged war against British colonial rules, symbolizes spirit of Indian women embodying strength and power. With the onset of the 6th edition of Khelo India Youth Games, and especially ahead of an action-packed sporting calendar of 2024 that includes Olympics, players are focused on creating new records and benchmarks with continuous exposure that is assured with government's flagship initiative. Deepika Mehto's report from Chennai for DD India.
Well, that's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X and Instagram. We're going to be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I am Anil Thomas. From all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.